So Karen, it's my joy and my honor to have you here today. I mean, it's morning in Hawaii, it's evening here in Germany. Life brought us together, and I'm so happy that you said yes to my invitation.
Yeah, I am too.
And I would just read a bit about you, Karen. You are an international transformational speaker and healer who has studied under many teachers. After tenaciously clearing her own distortion patterns, Karen's frequency resonance has risen enough so that she can use her special abilities, and we will talk about that, to help people clear old programs at their spirit's blueprint level, catalyzing fundamental transformation and spiritual awakening so they can live their fullest life. Yeah, and I mean, the entire summit is about that topic, supporting people in really accessing their full potential and expressing their unique gifts and being in service of life and enjoying it. And so we have a lot in common, the motivation why we do what we do. And I also had this chance to really experience also a one-on-one work with you, which I really enjoyed. It's really powerful work, and I can kind of, I would say I know if it's powerful or not, as I'm also trained as a shamanic healer, and I work also with energy and frequency. So I really notice when work is working on a deep level or not, and your work is definitely something I want to support, and I want to let people know what you
Oh,
do.
thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Yeah. And I mean, your work is all about working with frequency and to get people really into this understanding. Maybe you describe just a bit what is frequency?
Yeah. So frequency is resonating at an extremely high level. So the way I describe it is if you can imagine the oneness vibrating at an extremely high rate. Okay? So for anything to be other than the oneness, it requires a drop in vibrational level. Okay? So even for the oneness to be aware of itself as like a separate thing requires a drop in frequency resonance. So as that frequency resonance drops, it becomes frequency. And then as that resonance or vibration slows down, that becomes energy. And as that like resonance slows down again, that becomes physical form. It's kind of like water, right? So when you have steam, the molecules are vibrating really, really fast. And as those molecule vibrations slow down, it becomes liquid water. And as those slow down even more, it becomes ice. So it's kind of like that, but on a much, much, much bigger scale. So frequencies are the things that are the source of everything physical in our, what we consider to be our physical realities. So that's what a frequency is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and what I hear is then also it's on the subtlest level, and because of that can really reach into everything. Could you say it
Yes.
like that?
Yes. And I would say it's the foundation for everything. So meaning that frequency is the source. It's the beginning point for everything that we consider to be in our physical reality. They are the things that are at that. So let me back up. So I'm going to go a little high level. Okay, so I'm hoping everyone can
Please,
kind of
please.
roll with
I hope that our audience is there and really is with us.
Okay, cool. So at that point when where we have that oneness vibrating at a very high rate, okay, what happens is there's an individuation point. Okay, so as consciousness, we separate from the oneness. Okay, at that point of individuation, okay, that is a unique vibrational resonance. We're still consciousness at that level. Okay, we've individuated as consciousness. We're not human yet. We're just consciousness. So what we do at that individuated consciousness level, at that point of individuation, is we choose actually to experience something. And in this particular case, we choose to experience a physical reality, an embodiment. Okay? So at that point, that consciousness creates what I call the spirit body, which is a sphere at arm's length all around you. That sphere compresses linear time and space into density, or what we call our physical bodies. and our physical reality. Okay, so our physical realities or our physical bodies are simply a rendering, like a projection, kind of like in, I don't know if people remember Star Trek from whenever it started with Spock and Kirk and all those people. In the hologram, you know, when they would beam up and down from the spaceship onto the planet, onto the ship, they would render, right? They would like, right into the little transporter-y thing. We're doing that, we're rendering, but we think it's real. Okay, so it's an illusion. So the spirit is rendering the physical body. It actually takes a lot of, people think of us as kind of, there's a movement where we think, okay, well, the physical reality isn't as clear, or we're just dumb as humans or whatever. It actually takes a lot of sort of advancement on the spirit level to actually interlinear time and to compress time and space to create density. So everything in your physical reality, including your body, is from frequencies. Does that make sense? It's actually everything. And we're just compressing time and space to create density or a physical reality. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that was too high level.
No. I enjoyed it. I guess people which don't get it, they will leave or they are in another summit. I really enjoy it. This is why I invited you. I want to really provide that level. Yeah. Oh, and when you speak in your work, you often say that what is kind of hindering us to really vibrate high is this distortion patterns.
Yeah.
Maybe
so
you address that.
Yeah, I'll explain that. So I'll explain it in a couple of different ways. So first of all, I just want to back up. So the word distortion, okay, at least in English, has a negative connotation to it. Okay, so to me, a distortion pattern is anything that causes a separation from the oneness. So even to individuate as consciousness is a distortion, right? Because you're separate from the oneness, right? And as you embody, right, as you drop into density, you have more of these layers. So to me, let me back up again. So for me, a distortion pattern happens when, especially when we're embodied, is when if you imagine again the oneness vibrating at a very high rate. So from my perspective, what happens is when we individuate as consciousness and then drop into a body, right? So drop the frequency resonance, so we come into the density of a body. What happens is what looks like to me like layers and layers and layers of duct tape form as a ball around the consciousness that is you. Because to me, when we individuate, we look like spheres, okay? So you have these spheres of individuated consciousness of pure source energy vibrating at a very specific, unique rate. When we drop into embodiment, layers of what look like duct tape to me form around that sphere, okay? It causes the sphere to vibrate at a slower rate because the distortion patterns are heavy, okay? So it causes the sphere to vibrate slower. It also causes the sphere to forget that it's connected to pure source energy in all directions, all around it infinitely, okay? So what happens is those distortion patterns are a metaphor for things like our past lives, whether or not you believe in them, our lineage or what your ancestors have experienced. And now epigenetics is starting to prove that what your great-grandparents experienced very much impacts how your genes express in your body now and the possibilities that are open to you. So science is catching up to spirit. It also is a result of your cultural conditioning, your religious conditioning, and that type of thing. So those are the layers of duct tape, okay? And those are what I call distortion patterns. That causes, like I said, your resonance to become lower, heavier. What's cool is that as you do frequency work and you release these layers of distortion, and frequency work is not the only way, okay? It's just the way that I know of it's the most fast. But as you release these distortion patterns, the sphere itself starts to vibrate faster because it can. It's not being encumbered by the distortion patterns. And as a result, like because its vibrational rate starts to get higher, the distortion patterns start to fall off faster. It's kind of like a cake with like a mud that's caked on something. You know, as something starts to shake, the mud starts to drop off, similar, right? So what happens is it's a self-perpetuating cycle. You drop the distortion patterns, the sphere starts to vibrate faster, more of the distortion patterns fall off, the sphere gets higher, brighter, clearer. It's a self-perpetuating cycle. The sphere doesn't want to be encumbered by the distortion patterns. It's not, it doesn't feel good. You realize as a human, generally speaking, that there's something more and you're stuck and you want to get out and you don't know what to do. That's generally the human experience of it, but that's what's happening behind it on frequency level.
Yeah, wonderful. And how did it come that you found, or frequency work found you, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. So when I was a little kid, I had certain abilities which I didn't know were abilities. I just thought everyone could sense what I sensed. So I could sense when spaces or people were dark, meaning if there were other beings there or if there were entities. I didn't know what those were. I just knew they were scary and I couldn't explain them because I was too small. And now looking back on that, I knew what those were. And I could also get a sense of people's lives. Like I could almost like get a glimpse as if I was seeing their life from their perspective. I wouldn't understand it, but it's like I could get a glimpse of their life. So anyway, I was often told that that was my imagination. So my abilities went dormant. They weren't very cultivated. I just had a very normal upbringing. And then when I was about 20, I hit a health crisis. So if you've ever had a mosquito bite on like a knuckle or on the back of your knee and it's super, super, super itchy, it kind of drives you a little bit nuts. Well, I had eczema that was really bad, and that was like all over my body, like from my ankles all the way to my neck. And I became really ill for a very long time. And in that health crisis, I found a man who was a very exceptionally talented acupuncturist who could see energy, or qi, or what the Chinese would call qi. And I went to see him and I got better. And that prompted the question, right? Because I'd been sick for so long and he healed, like I was better in like 5 weeks. So I was like, what did he do? And that prompted my search of the unknown, the unseen. I'm like, what is there beyond what I can see that causes this thing, this physical thing to change so radically? What is it? And so for 25 years, I searched. I went and learned from a whole bunch of different teachers, learned different energy modalities. At the same time, I launched a real estate business with my husband, Chris, in San Francisco. And we were also doing traditional coaching. So we were doing coaching, energy modalities, experiencing as much as we could to grow, learn about life and ourselves and people. And what happened was we started to hit a ceiling in terms of our real estate career and in terms of my physical body, because I'd gotten a lot better, but I still noticed that I kept getting stuck at a certain point in my physical wellness, let's just say. And then one day, as it happens, I heard the name of someone else who does frequency work like I did. And as soon as I heard his name, it's like time went really long. And I thought, I have to follow that. And that started my own journey in frequency work. And I did it very, very intensively just because I'm of Asian descent, Chinese descent. I tend to be kind of intense in my approach to things. So it was like hardcore for 2 years. And then I removed enough of my distortion patterns, and consciousness has risen, of course, itself, that I can now express my unique ability, which is to remove the distortion patterns that are around you. And these are distortion patterns that have, in the past, with consciousness being very low, taken sometimes lifetimes for people to clear. And now it can be done in a couple of minutes or even a few seconds. And it's an amazing time to be embodied right now. It's an incredible time.
I absolutely agree in that. And I also like that you highlight the more you have done and cleared, the faster it gets.
Yes.
This is also my experience.
Yeah.
And Karen, could you maybe give us a few examples out of your working with hundreds and thousands of people, how it could look like when you do this frequency work? How can it change your life, and really also rising up through this awareness, to this awareness that I'm this spirit, and to that levels.
I'll give you 2 examples. So the first is, I have a client who is, I feel like a lot of us have a friend like her. She's beautiful, she's successful, she's very kind, she's awesome. Okay, athletic, she's great. But she always was in relationship with like a jerk. Okay, somebody who's emotionally abusive, took her for granted, etc. And all of her friends are like, why are you with these guys? They're jerks. But it didn't matter what she would do on the physical level. She would read books, she went to therapy, she did all these different things to try. She's aware that she's dating people who aren't good for her. She's not dumb, she's very smart, but she kept getting stuck. So after working with me for a couple of sessions, she started to shift. And she started to realize that it was a lot of her stuff was about low self-worth and being able to receive love and feeling worthy of it. And it's not like a mental understanding or even emotional one. It just started to shift really quickly and really subtly. And so what was really fantastic is she started to date a new guy, and after being single for a year to work on herself. And he was very different from any other man she'd ever gone with. And she's like, I'm just going to try something different and see what this guy's like. So it ends up, he's fantastic. He's exactly totally different from every other guy. And he said to her, he told her that he really loved her. And she said, you know, for the first time in my life, I could accept that. Like I felt that he loved me and I was worthy of it. And it made me joyful. And I didn't have to do anything to earn it. That is huge, huge, because she, right, in herself, didn't feel like she had to accept something less. So anyway, now they're getting married. So they just bought a house, and this is all the things that she wanted, but now it's from a much higher resonating order with a partner who's a much higher resonating order. And it's not just the trappings of what look like success, you know, the husband, the house for her, right? It's actually more fundamentally a partnership where she herself feels complete in herself and gets to love him and doesn't need him to complete her, but he complements her. So that's one example, which is really awesome. And then the other one is in terms of how it influences our reality. So I have a client who had a lot of challenge with abundance and also creation manifestation. He really struggled with it. And he came from like a working class family and very devoted to his spiritual awakening. And at some point along the way, he, in doing my creation manifestation work, he had this realization like, oh my God, I have to go into neutrality. I really have to release how it is that things show up in my physical reality. Like that's the missing key, is surrender. Like I've talked about, he's like, I know you've talked to me about this a lot. Like I get it. And for some reason, like something clicked for him. And for fun, he had this dream car that he wanted to get. And literally by the strangest happenstance, through a family connection, a stock trade that shouldn't have happened, etc., he made exactly the amount of his dream car. Well, not exactly, I'm overstate, minus $400. Minus $400, like trimmed out exactly the way he wanted it. And it wasn't at all how he thought he would get this car. He actually didn't quite believe he was going to get it, to be honest. But anyhow, so it's just like, he's like, oh, what else can I create? Because if I created this, I can create anything. And he's remodeling his house. He's doing all kinds of stuff right now. So it's really amazing. Mm-hmm. So what happens, the important part of that, yes, the car is wonderful. The important part of that, of his experience, is his empowerment. His empowerment, his realization that he is a co-creator of his reality. That is huge. That's a recognition of the divinity within, of his own brilliance, of his capacity to co-create. That is massive. That's the important part of what he did. Yes, the house and the remodel and the car and all that stuff is fun, but that's just like the bonus sauce, the bonus icing on the cake. Let's call it that.
Yes, and when I listen to that, I just see that in the world, so many people do not really live up to their brilliance.
Yes.
So I really, and I want to support everything which supports us in really realizing the brilliance what we are, and taking care everything what hinders us, clearing away, and we would have definitely another world if more people would come really to this level.
Yeah.
And Karen, another question is, because you also mentioned, and I mean, we are in the Conscious Evolution Summit and many people talk about it, and with what is happening in the beginning of 2020, I guess more and more people will really get it, that we are in a very special time, and that it's not about getting more technology, being more intelligent, having more skills. We really kind of need to make a jump and a move in the unseen and on our conscious level. And I would like to hear from you, how would you describe, because you hear it in spiritual groups very often this new consciousness.
Yeah.
What does new consciousness mean for you? How would you describe it for us?
Yeah, I love that question. Thank you. So to me, the new consciousness is simply a massive jump in resonance, okay, in frequency resonance. So currently, because that's the way I perceive, okay, so everything has a frequency resonance, everything, right? You can read anything about quantum physics, everything's vibrating. At this current consciousness level, it's at like, say, this, okay, let's just say this line at my chin. When we jump into the new consciousness, it's like we jump up to my forehead in terms of speed of vibrational rate, okay? So one is vibrating like this speed, and this one's like going like this, okay? So the new consciousness to me, I'm not talking about the experience of it, just really, what is it? It's just a massive jump in vibrational rate. That's it. So the new consciousness, because it's a massive jump in vibrational rate, it's a very different experience, okay? So as embodied beings, it'll be a different experience. So let me just back up out of that. So a lot of people will talk about the new consciousness, like we're leaving our bodies, or I don't know where they think we're going, but wherever. So that's whatever, everyone has different perspectives. From my perspective, to get into the new consciousness isn't about leaving your body at all. You actually need to bring your body with you. It just needs to increase in its vibrational level, okay? So your body is the densest part. It's the center of the rendering that I talked about at the beginning. So this thing, your physicalness, has to increase in resonance in addition to your spirit body, okay? The spirit around you. So all these things have to jump in vibrational level in order to experience the new consciousness. When we're in this new consciousness, we have to drop the denser layers that cause the current consciousness to vibrate slow. Those dense frequency patterns would be things like oppression, right? That are rife. Like that's what's happening in our system right now, right? We are starting to examine systemic oppression. We're like, wait a minute, geez, we've kind of known this has been here and we've been ignoring it, but here it is, still there, right? It's a systemic oppression, right? Whether it be on racial lines, gender lines, class lines, it's everywhere. So oppression, abuse, greed, okay? These are all extremely low levels of vibration that are commonly held in this current dimensional reality, okay? Also scarcity, okay? And it's scarcity not just of money. We all think of scarcity as money. It's actually of time, okay? So we have all these very dense vibrating patterns, okay? Or distortion patterns. As a collective, we are releasing these. That's why it looks so intense right now, okay? That's why there's like so much like upheaval, collective systemic disease that's running through, like in terms of the virus. And it's more than the virus, it's the reaction to it, that fear. So fear is another lower level distortion that we're dropping. So all this stuff, all these distortions are being released out of the collective in order to get to the higher level resonation of the new consciousness. They can't exist. That lower level stuff can't exist in the higher level consciousness. The resonation doesn't allow it to exist together.
Can I just briefly interrupt? Would you say it's a huge collective detox process?
Yes. Yeah, at this moment. And I would agree with that. And I would also, from my perspective, not everyone will jump into the new consciousness. And people will talk about the chosen ones. It's not like someone selects you. You select. It's free will, okay? So it's just about raising your resonance. Not everybody wants to raise their resonance. That's okay. Seriously, it's not everyone. Some people want to stay in this level of consciousness. That's totally great. Some people want to move into the higher level of consciousness, which is why you're watching this right now. Okay, that's if not, you would not be interested in this. So as your resonance jumps, of course, as we jump into this new consciousness, our experience changes. So let me just back up. So I talked about the physical body. So our spirit bodies tend to accelerate faster in resonance, right? Because they're less dense, of course. They're spirit. They're vibrating already at a higher rate. They're not embodied. So they can jump faster and hold that vibration of the new consciousness faster. It's the physical body, okay? It's not a bad thing. It's just, it's denser. So this is the thing that needs a little bit more work to release, to get into a higher consciousness experience, okay? And be able to maintain those higher level frequencies without us exiting the body, okay? Which can look like either going crazy or dying, okay? We have to be able to sustain in the body these higher level frequencies. When we're in the new consciousness, the experience changes. So we become much more aware of our oneness, meaning I'm aware that if I hurt you, it hurts me. It's a very visceral understanding of that. Okay, we're still individuated. I'm not saying that all of a sudden we're like this merged glob. We're not yet. It's the threshold of the new consciousness, which is a huge band of consciousness, right? We're coming into the threshold of this. So so what I would say is that the experience then shifts, because if you are aware that what you do to someone else very much impacts you, it changes everything about what you choose to do, right? For most people. And we can't have these things such as oppression and scarcity. Okay, first of all, you're aware of the oneness and you're aware of your brilliance. So that experience of scarcity can't exist. There's only abundance because it's infinite, right? As consciousness, we are infinite, indestructible consciousness. In that infiniteness, implicit within that is abundance because it's infinite, right? You can't be in scarcity. So that scarcity of time goes away, scarcity of resource goes away. And how we, like I said, everything about our structures are going to change in that different level of awareness, right? How our governmental structures run, how money will be exchanged, how, or whatever we come up with as value or whatever we want to call it, right? How we view our bodies, how we view our health, how we view that as a collective. Also, as individuals, we will be very, very reluctant and quite against someone oppressing us, right? We're very aware of our free will. It's a different game. Like you can't just, like it's right now in our collective consciousness, it's shockingly easy for people to be unaware and give their power away and be put into fear and manipulated, quite frankly, right? In this new consciousness, you're aware of your own brilliance. If you're aware of your own brilliance and your connection to the all that is, why would you let someone push you around in that way? It's not possible, you see? So it's a very different relationship with self, other, and the oneness. Everything changes. So as a result, from within, because all this, from my perspective, right, the spirit body is creating the rendering. It's illusory, right? It's an illusion. And it's this beautiful illusion that we get to experience in common. And as the new consciousness rises, or comes in, or we rise into it rather, we become aware of the nature of the illusion, and how we interact with it changes because we become aware of the nature of the illusion. It's really spectacular, actually. It's a really amazing time to be.
Thank you for this really beautiful explanation. And Karen, before we can kind of taste your work really on an experiential level with a group frequency calibration, could you just describe, because you offer individual work and you also work with groups, and could you just explain how it works in group and what is the very special benefit by joining such a group?
Yeah. So what you're referring to, thank you for asking that question. So, you know, currently there's an emphasis on individual sessions, meaning most people, when they meet me, they want to have an individual session, which is fantastic, right? They want to address the things that are burdening them. And an individual session can be powerful because it's obviously a refinement of who you are. As we move into this new consciousness, okay, this is like the bridge, the mastermind or the power of a group at a higher level order is really something that most people don't think about. So what I mean by this, so a mastermind is formed when two or more beings come together with a common purpose, right? So, and if you, and I know you've interviewed Lynn Taggart, right? As soon as you have 8 or more, then you start to have this incredible momentum of a mastermind, which can start to impact the external reality. So a mastermind, when it comes together, and it comes together for a group frequency calibration, because we're connecting with the highest level intention, which is to become more aware of our connection only to pure source, the highest selves of everyone comes to the table, so to speak. And everyone is moving towards this awareness of this connection to pure source, which again is the most high intention. So there's a tremendous amount of momentum in the group work. And it can propel you much further in some ways than having an individual session, because everyone's moving towards the same objective, which is to connect even or become more aware of your connection to pure source and remove the distortion patterns of whatever topic that we're working on, or to move into, say, for example, to increase the resonance to enter the new consciousness. Okay? So for whatever intention it is. So everyone's moving with this common purpose. It gives the group a tremendous amount of momentum on spirit level, which is extremely accelerating in terms of your own personal frequency resonance. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I mean, some people even say that where we are now as humanity, to really jump to the next level, this is something we can't do individually. We only can access that together. Would you
Mhm.
agree in that from your perspective and what you are witnessing when you work with people and groups?
Huh. So to me, they're not separate. So, so from my perspective, it's kind of both. So what I would say is, as individually our frequency resonance rises, okay, so as each individual, so frequency resonance rises from doing this work, the higher your resonance, the more impact you have, not only on the people around you, but also through, your community, through humanity, and then into the oneness. The higher your resonance, the more impact. So when you come together in a group that's very highly vibrating, even though you're individually doing this, your impact into the oneness is immediate and extremely profound, because I perceive that. So when I'm working with people in groups, it's amazing, because as they individually are shifting, the collective of the mastermind has momentum, and that shifts, and then the ripple effect into the oneness is often immediate and huge. So to me, to answer your question, it's both, right? So because we're part of the oneness. So as you individually increase your own resonance, so to me, the focus is on self, in the sense as if you raise your frequency resonance, you will impact the collective, okay? It's just the way it is, because we're all one. So, and as I said, as you increase in resonance, your impact, so the impact of one person's resonance as it rises, once it hits a certain tipping point, is huge. It's not one-to-one anymore. It's not like I impact you. It's like I impact you and like 10 other people. And as your resonance rises, like 900, and then 1,000, and then it goes, further than that. The ripple effect is much more huge than just like a one-to-one ratio. So I don't know if that answers your question,
Yeah,
but that's
absolutely.
my,
Thank you for your wonderful explanation. I mean, I take everything in and it resonates so much with what you're sharing. And you have such a talent to really kind of explain this, maybe not so easy things to put into words. And yeah, I really appreciate that, Karen.
thank you.
And do you feel ready that we can give our audience an experience? And it's not just giving an experience, but also using them for this mastermind, and really using the space, the community of the summit. And even though we don't now sit all together in a room and maybe not watch it on the same time, but on the level we are working, this doesn't matter.
That's correct. Yes, thank you for asking that. I love that you made that comment, because yes, we're working at the frequency level. This is outside of time and space, okay? Outside of linear time and in linear space. It's a much higher vibrational level. And so irrespective of when somebody watches this or when somebody decides to tune in, it doesn't matter, because it's almost like when I create it's not almost like, it is, when I create a group frequency calibration, there's a thread that I create, like a time thread. So it doesn't matter when you watch it in linear time. It's like a string that you catch onto, and it pulls you into the time of now, of when I'm giving this. So it's like you're sitting here with me live. It's the same. Okay. So that's what's happening. So we are working beyond time space. Participating in this not only impacts others, it impacts you. So you're going to start to feel like now what I'm going to back up and say is, not everyone perceives frequency work. As you said at the very beginning, Puria, this is subtle. So whether or not you have a physical experience or even a felt experience of this is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It also doesn't matter whether you believe it works or not. It doesn't matter. It's simply, are the distortion patterns being removed? That's it. And then things start to shift. And in terms of your own resonance. So whether or not you feel this, it's okay. It's still working. It's funny, when I first started receiving frequency work, I didn't feel it either. I was like, But by the end of it, I knew something fundamentally had changed. Isn't that weird? It's like, I was like, I don't feel anything. And I'm pretty sensitive. I didn't feel anything. And then at the end of it, I was like, whoa, something is, or actually not something, everything is totally different. I can't even explain to you what that means. That's what my first experience of it was. So it's okay if you don't feel anything. And some people feel a lot. So it depends on who you are. Yeah.
Wonderful. So I'm really looking forward to you taking us there. And
Okay. All right, wonderful. So I'm going to close my eyes. So this probably will not be that exciting to watch, but you listening is a good idea. All right, so I'm going to close my eyes. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a group frequency calibration to increase your resonance, okay? Because that's the key in terms of accessing, and not only accessing, maintaining in the new consciousness. There are some people who access it and then ping out of it because they can't maintain it, those high frequency levels. So this is about releasing distortion patterns, releasing these lower level vibrational frequencies so that you can maintain in that new consciousness, okay? Right, and just so you know, this is not a one-shot deal. For many of you, you're going to need to do more work, just as a caveat. Okay, good. So becoming very aware of your body. And as you become aware of your body, becoming aware of the soles of your feet. And just be aware of what they're touching. If they're hot or cold or sweaty or dry, just the soles of your feet. And if you're lying down and your feet are touching the air, notice the air and how that feels against your feet. Good. Yeah. And now please become aware of your body as it sinks into whatever you're sitting, standing, or lying down on. The contact points of your body against what is supporting you, however you are physically situated. Good. And now please become aware of your breath without changing it at first. Just aware of it, without judgment. How is it in this moment? Just notice its quality, its depth, its rhythm. And once you've had a moment to become aware of it, taking this opportunity now to deepen your breath, to allow it to lengthen, to become more full. And perhaps it expands not only your chest, but also your upper back. And eventually, possibly even your belly and your lower back. Not through force. Just notice if you can allow the breath to move into all of these different places. Good. And now please become aware of your surroundings. So noticing the sound around you, other than the sound of my voice. So if you have headphones on, stretch the scope of your hearing a little further away. The sounds in the room, even the little ones, like the hum of a fridge or a computer, a passing car. Yeah. And now please notice the smell around you, whether it's the smell of your own soap or shampoo, the smell in the air around you. Yeah, good. And now we're going to triangulate. So what that means is if you blink your eyes open, you're going to identify 3 inanimate objects in the space around you. What they are is irrelevant. You're going to please notice the distance between object A and you, and then feel it. So for example, the lamp is about 4 foot away from me. And then I feel the distance between the lamp and me. And you would do the same thing for object B and then object C. As you do this with these 3 objects, you can do it with your eyes open or closed, it doesn't matter. Your sense of where you are in space will become somehow more firm or more present, or you'll just be more aware of it in some way, or more clear. Okay? So just awareness of where you are in space. I'm not going to go tons into why that is important. It has to do with space and time. Good. And when you're complete with that, just blinking your eyes closed again. And bringing your attention to your sternum, which is that big thick bone in the center of your chest where your ribs meet in front of your body. And as you have your attention on your sternum, you're going to take a nice deep breath in. And at the top of the breath, please hold for a count of 4. And after you have held that and released all the air out of your lungs, holding out your breath, the voided breath, for a count of 5. And for those of you with a faster count, bringing your attention, or keeping it rather, to the sternum, and also including the hollow of the throat, breathing normally when you arrive. No rush. What I'm waiting for is for the mastermind to coalesce, to become more coherent. So we move in unison and with the most speed. And for those of you who are new to my work, I just want to let you know that I am working on the group and the subgroup level, and that I'll be often working in silence. So if you don't hear me, just know that I'm still working on you at frequency level. And that sometimes I also make noises on my end. So you might hear me yawn, even though I'm not tired, or exhale, or even hum. It's just how I remove the distortion patterns sometimes. And also, if I say something that really resonates with you, it's likely yours. And if I say something that you really resist, like it couldn't possibly be you, it's likely yours. So I invite you to be open to that possibility and to explore it. Yeah, good. So now that the mastermind has just gelled or come into coherence, keeping our attention on the front of the throat, the hollow of the throat, and the sternum, we're going to ask ourselves the following question. How can I become even more aware of my connection only to pure source. And that question again is, how can I become even more aware of my connection only to pure source? And as you ask yourself that question, please imagine, sense, feel, or become aware of the space at the very center of your body. And as you become aware of this space, please imagine or become aware of a brilliance at its very center. Now, this brilliance can be seen or felt, it doesn't matter which. And it starts to intensify because you have your awareness on it. And as this brilliance intensifies, it's helping you on frequency level, it starts to expand outwards through all of your cells, through your organs, expanding out through your bone structure, out through your flesh and your muscles, out through the pores of your skin, into the space between your physical body and the outer perimeter of your spirit body, which is a sphere at arm's length all around you. Yeah. And please become aware of or notice the brilliance within the sphere. Yeah. And now, please become aware of the space all around the sphere. And as you become aware of this infinite space, yeah, I'm working with you on spirit or frequency level to increase your resonance, irrespective of your beginning resonance. The higher the resonance, the more effective session. Yeah. Good. Bring your attention, please, to your upper ribs, which is between your heart space in the center of your chest in your nipple line and your collarbones. Okay, so your upper ribs, in addition to your heart space itself, again in the center of your chest in your nipple line. So what we're releasing here are some of the very heavy patterns. This one is of abuse. Okay, so we're going to just release this, or control. Okay, depending on what subgroup you're in. So whether you receive abuse or control or exert it, it's the same distortion pattern, just opposite ends of the frequency. So there we go. Yes. So this is a very old deep pattern. It's likely not one and done. Things will start to shift. Yeah. There we go. Good. Bringing your attention, please, to your solar plexus between your belly button and the base of your sternum. Yeah. So this has to do with fear of running out of time. Okay, so this has to do with scarcity of time. For a small subgroup, it's fear of being left behind. Okay. And another one, it's fear of failing. And there's another one of fear of getting it wrong, okay, which is a little bit different than fear of failing. Intertwined with this is another distortion pattern of low self-worth or non-deserving of the new resonance, of embodying the new resonance. It has nothing to do with deserving. You either are vibrating at that resonance or you're not. It has nothing to do with deserving. Okay, so let's release this. Yes. Bring your attention to your heart space in the center of your chest. Okay. So in the collective, right, and even the sub-pockets of the collective, there is fear right now. There's a lot of turbulence, a lot of unknown. There is fear. So a lot of you are sensitive, and so you're taking this into your body, and it's dropping your resonance. Okay? So we're going to release this. There's also the resonance of disempowerment. Okay, there's nothing you can do. You can work on yourself. There's a lot you can do. Okay, so let's release this though, because the disempowerment and the fear only slows you down. It's not even yours. Okay. And for some of you, take it on not only from the collective, but from the people who are close to you. Okay, so when you release this, and for that subgroup, releasing the distortion pattern of having to take on the burden of other people. Okay, meaning you could be feeling just fine, then all of a sudden they feel stressed out and you take it into yourself to try and help them. That doesn't help them. It just makes you heavier. Okay? It doesn't release them from that distortion pattern. They have to do that themselves. So releasing this from you. Being heavier does not help anyone. And I mean that in terms of resonance level, to be clear. Yes. Bring your attention again to your sternum. That center bone in the middle of your chest. Yeah. And also your spine at the same time, from the tip of your tailbone all the way up through your skull. If it helps to put your one hand on your sternum and to imagine your spine, go ahead and do that. And if it doesn't help you, then don't do it. So there's a very, very large subgroup of you that do not like your bodies. You don't stay in it. You float outside of your bodies. Okay, you either come up through your head or through the front of your body or out your throat or some of you from behind, whatever. You're not in your bodies. In order to access the new consciousness, the place of power is in your body, because that allows you to access the present moment in linear time, which allows you to then access the eternal now, which is the gateway to the new consciousness. You don't need to understand that mentally. What I'm telling you is you need to be in your body in order to access all that. And many of you are floating out, okay? Not an empowered place. I know it can feel better, but it doesn't help you ultimately, okay? It disempowers your ability to influence your reality. So being aware of your sternum and your tailbone, first we're going to release this fear that it's not safe in your body, and then we're going to bring you back into your bodies. To be clear, this serves you in a number of ways, which I'll talk about in just a minute as I'm working on you here. Releasing this fear. And many of you, experience some not great things in your body, okay? So just releasing the fear and the heaviness of the body. Yeah. Good. So keeping your attention very firmly in your sternum and your spine. So what I mean by being in your body is your essence is anchored in your body, okay, in your spine specifically. The reason we're doing this is A, because it allows you to access the present moment in the near time, which allows you to then co-create your reality. B, if you are not in your spine, something else can come into it. We do not want that. That is very bad. And then the third thing, or C, is that your spine is like an antenna. It allows your spirit body to render you more accurately, okay, in time and space, which gives you, it's interesting, it allows you to have more opportunity, the right people, the right timing, the right healing modality. All that stuff starts to come in when you have more clarity around this. So bringing you firmly into your spine. Yeah. Now, for some of you, this will feel really clear and awesome. For others of you, it'll feel a little bit weird, like it's heavier or thicker somehow. And it's true, you're now in your body. You will have a lot more impact when you're in your body. So you may just have to get used to it, right? So just so you know, in case that comes up. You need to be in your bodies to have spiritual acceleration that's sustainable. Okay. And also for your physical lives to be much better. Good. Becoming aware, please, of the center of your solar plexus between your belly button and the base of your sternum, and what I call your upper heart, between your heart space and the hollow of your throat. So 2 center points. As you bring your attention to these 2 points, again, use your hands if that's helpful. Yeah. So now you're in your body, bringing you more into the 0 point of time or the present moment and space, just in the center of your body. Bringing your attention now, please, to right at the base of your sternum. And then now about 7 centimeters or 3 inches directly beneath that towards your belly button in a straight line. So we're going to clear out, reset, and integrate your pain bodies, because your pain body has a memory and it will remember you before the distortion patterns were removed. So we clear this out. It'd be much easier to integrate all of this. There we go. Excellent. Taking a nice deep breath in, holding it for a second or two, and then releasing it with some sound like And when you're ready, taking your time, blinking your eyes open and focusing on something inanimate.
Really powerful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do you want to kind of just give a few advices how to be in this afterwards, to integrate it?
Yes. Yeah, I would love to. Okay. We have just worked on the frequency level. So the distortion patterns are deleted in real time out of the field on frequency level, right? Because that's a very high vibrating rate. Your physical, mental, emotional bodies are vibrating slower because they are denser. This requires that you release the distortion patterns out of these lower vibrating rates because it requires your free will to do this, okay? I can't take your journey for you. This is your journey, not mine. So part of what I call confirming the release of the patterns, or confirming the removal of the pattern, is something that you need to do. So what that means is, in your life, in the next couple of days, to watch yourself as if you're watching a movie and to notice when these patterns come up. So we did something around control, I think, or abuse. So you might notice that somebody who likes to try to control you sort of suddenly surfaces again in your life and tries to control you. Or it might be somebody random at the grocery store and starts to tell you what to do. And you're like, I don't even know who you are. And it's for you to be like, oh, wait, she released that pattern about control, to realize it's happening and to, in that moment, push that pattern away from you. So it's just like whatever you would normally do in that moment. So say, for example, in the grocery store example, someone tells you what to do and your normal response would be just to do it. Okay. Instead, choose something different in that moment. So instead of just doing it, just be like, I can appreciate why you're asking that, but I can't help you right now. I'm in a rush, or something, okay? Something that's different than what you normally would do. That will confirm the removal of the pattern out of your lower vibrating realm, okay? Your fields. So that's the most powerful thing you can do. The second thing you can do is to watch or listen to the free weekly video or podcast series. It's on my website. Episode number 3, it's called Mastering Your World Through Frequencies. Episode 3 is all about leveraging detox or integration, which is what you might go through after this. So I would recommend watching that because it's really helpful. And if you're new to frequency work, I would recommend watching episodes 1 to 5, actually. That will explain to you in more depth what I explained to you already, what your experience might be, and how to work with the frequencies even more. I would also recommend taking care of yourself right now. Okay, this is actually a lot. It seemed like we just sat here in meditation. We did, and a lot of stuff happened. So if you feel really, really tired, let yourself sleep. There's a lot of stuff that we can process out of our sleep, out of our physical bodies. If you notice that your physical bodies are feeling a little not great because you're working this out of your field, give yourself self-care. So go take a walk, get a massage, receive acupuncture, chiropractic, whatever helps you. It's helpful to be in water also. That is very soothing for people and very transmutative. Water has been very foundational to many spiritual practices for millennia. There's a reason. So water is very helpful in transmuting. So because it's crystalline in nature. But anyway, that's what I would recommend to people to help them integrate the most.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. And I really want to let people know that you so generously share so much free group frequency calibrations on your website, and they're really amazing, and you cover many different topics, and people can really find, I guess, a lot in there, and it's yeah, very, very generous. And maybe, I mean, I anyways share your website link, and if you liked what you heard here and what you experienced here, you can subscribe to Karen's newsletter. You get weekly information, and all of what she provides comes into your mailbox. That's the easiest, I would say.
I would say that's the same too. And depending on what travel happens, restrictions happen this fall, right? There's a lot of flux. We are planning to be live in parts of the US, so LA and Des Moines, and also Europe this year, but we don't know if that's going to happen because of all the travel restrictions that are in place, but we are planning to be doing live events, and if not, we'll do more online ones if people are interested.
Thank you so much, Karen, that you received my invitation, that we now came together, that you did this beautiful explanations and this powerful frequency work. I really sense it as a very unique piece in the puzzle of all the speakers I've brought together, and I don't take it for granted because you do a lot. You're quite busy, and yeah, a warm thank you to you, Karen.
Thank you, Puria, and thank you for inviting me. I very much appreciate it, and I also appreciate the generosity of your gift to the world, because you are doing this of your own time and out of your own passion, and your desire to uplift the whole. And it's very inspirational. So thank you for your generosity and your commitment to raising consciousness. So on behalf of all of us, thank you.
And thank you to you watching and listening to us, because you also take your time, you contribute to the field with all the interviews you are watching. It's not just, I assume that you know how to open your whole system to take it in all your different levels, to move it, to integrate it, and to make a difference. As Karen so beautifully shared, you are part of the whole field, and everything, what you shift, what you up-level really matters. And I want to thank you for that. And I see you in the next interview. Thank you.